Well, that was awkward. Okay. Well, welcome to the after show, but later. It's your boy D. Here I am for episode number 280, I believe, 8. If you tuned into the last episode, then you're probably wondering, what's going on? Is the after show still going on? Is the after show, but later? Going to be, but later? The after show, but later is here. And, there's a lot of times in life, things change, right? People move on during the conversation. And one of the things that El Cucuy mentioned was he could go out and do the El Cucuy show. And I just got to tell you that I enjoy El Cucuy. I think he's a very entertaining dude. So if he does choose to go that route, I'll be the first person to subscribe and to check him out because the dude is a character. When I'm editing and I'm doing whatever, I see that and I'm like, man, this dude's cracking me up or whatever as I'm editing. And so I know that whatever he does in the future, he'll be successful at. So after show but later wishes El Cucuy love and whatever he does. So got to lead with love.
With love, Love.
On the road to the riches, cause it's all about the paper. Now buckle up your seats and prepare for the journey. Let the music ease your soul, grab a spliff and start burning. Relax with us and take a trip to the heavens and come and spend a
What's up, everybody? Here we are, the after show, but later. Your boy D, and I'm here for episode number 288. And man, you know what? I think the very first thing that I want to start off with is the Andrew Schulz special.
I just had a baby.
Covino and Rich were talking about the new specials, right? Schultz, Burt, they have their new specials. And a common theme, at least from what Covino and Rich are saying, is that there's a lot of heart in these specials. If you want to check it out by Andrew Schultz, it's called Life. We don't give Rotten Tomatoes on the after show, but later. I might have to give this 6 wet bezels, maybe 6.5 wet bezels. One that's still building up in your panza. You feel that? You can kind of, man, I better at least know where the restrooms are, right? So it's 6 to 6.5 wet bezels. I'm going to give this special because I love Schultz. One of the funniest dudes, I think, out there as far as comedians. His podcast, I kind of fell off of because I used to listen to Flagrant pretty often, but I always still thought his comedy was pretty funny as hell. And I just felt this special lacked that comedy special. It was more of a...
Now, we urge families, children, and parents alike to watch both of these informative episodes and then to discuss the problem presented, which is of deep concern to all of us.
Special. If he would have released this on Netflix, and it would have been Andrew Schultz Life, the special, right? Where all of the stuff that he did on the special, all of the behind the scenes things, the videos that he put in there, the little sound bites and all that good stuff. If he would have made that a special on its own, man, as a comedy special, I'm coming to comedy to escape life for a minute, right? I'm coming to sit here, turn off my brain, turn off my bills, turn off my family issues, turn off my whatever, Nana being sick, whatever issues you have in your family or whatever, right? Give me an hour, 45 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't care. When I'm sitting here and I have my popcorn, right? And I have my tamarindo and everything, and I'm ready, right? I'm ready to go. And then Schultz comes out with we couldn't get pregnant. And, it was my swimmers that were, that were the problem. And man, it was heartfelt. It was. And that's not what I come to a special for. So when you come for a comedy stand-up special, man, it's 6.5 wet bezels at best. So, the after show but later is giving that 6.5 wet bezels because I don't know, man. I haven't checked out the Burt one. So I may be giving that 9 wet bezels, maybe it did make me feel some type of way and I did dig it, but the Schultz one, just by that being one that I've checked out, not my favorite, man. And it sucks because I understand that everybody must innovate, right? Like Gary Vee says.
And when you don't innovate, you die.
So you gotta change things up. But just because that is a great approach, I don't think that you need to change the stand-up special. You come out, you tell jokes, we leave, we're happy. That has been working for years. And you know what? And you could do something different like you did. but don't call it a fucking stand-up comedy special. Please don't. Just call it something different. Call it the Andrew Schultz Life Hour. Then I'll be in it. The Andrew Schultz Life Hour, 10 and a half wet bellows, almost a chorro, right? That almost gets, after 10 bellows, you get a chorro. So the Andrew Schultz special Life as a non-stand-up special, I give it one chorro. The White Lotus monologue. White Lotus, huh? So I first checked out White Lotus season 1. I think I watched the first 3 episodes and I was hooked, right? I was at a conference for work and I was like, oh, hell yeah. You go back to your room at night, you're chilling. After I left that conference, never watched it again. Something recently, a monologue from the most recent season has gone viral.
The opposite of me. She gonna complete me in some way? I realized I could fuck a million women, I'd still never be satisfied. Maybe what I really want is to be one of these Asian girls.
Unconventional things is as nice as I could put it, right? What's weird to me is that if you don't quote unquote fit that narrative and you don't feel like that or whatever, you're some kind of caveman. But what happened to that just being who you were, right? Right. So these people that want to be something different or whatever, they want us to accept them, which 99% of us do, right? We're like, hey, that's you, do you. If you say you're this or that, then more power to you. No problems here. However, if I'm like, but that shit ain't for me, then all of a sudden you're a caveman, you're not open, you're, and if, you say, maybe that's not for me, right? And a lot of times, and I'll give Spot some props because he had mentioned during the week, he was like, I don't feel like everybody is that way because Covino was like, what happened just being a dude, right? Right? You like sports and love women, you like music, and you go to sleep. I mean, there's not a whole lot. I mean, dudes aren't that complicated for the most part, or at least they used to not be. Right? Like to eat, like women, like sports, and like to sleep. Boom. That's pretty much me in a nutshell, right? So a lot of times I feel like these people are very one-sided. If you don't feel that way, then you're the problem. But you're like, no, dog, I just like chicks and friggin' I just want to go home and play some dominoes with the homies and go to sleep. Like it's not that I'm too good to want to be a woman or this or that. It's just, I'm just a simple dude, right? I mean, you guys that have been listening, pretty much, I like some corny shit. I like some freaking cool. Then there's stuff in between, right? I mean, I like everything from freaking Children of Bodom to freaking, you guessed it, O-Town, right? So anything from that, and I just don't understand why you can't just be, that's chill. But that monologue made it like, there was that clip or that picture of that dude that's like, I think that was a lot of us listening to it because we were like, nah, dog, I love chicks and you may or may not have been a womanizer in your day, but I don't think that means you ever wanted to be one or you wanted to. So then the conversation with Covino and Rich went to being admired versus being, what was it?
Rich, I think you and I are conflating validation and admiration by definition.
A little bit, yeah.
I think we are.
Rich was saying something about we all post things to have likes and to do this and that or whatever. But I don't know how that coincides with wanting to put on a dress and get dominated by a chick or a dude or whatever. I don't understand how the two are correlated. It doesn't make any sense to me. Uncle Joe. All right. So they were talking about, I don't remember. Oh, I think Covino was back home for something. And Uncle Joe ended up putting himself out there, which I thought was hilarious because in my mind, Uncle Joe is Andrew Dice Clay. I've seen pictures of Uncle Joe, handsome dude. Dude's like in his 50s, right? Almost 60 probably. Handsome guy, right? Still looks like he could pull chicks if he needs to, right? And I don't know why in my mind, when he's like, babe, 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 oh, little Miss Muffet, sat on her tuffet. I picture him with the Andrew Dice Clay freaking finger gloves, right? The gloves that are missing the fingers, like Big J. Okerson wears nowadays. I picture him with the tinted glasses with the purple tint, right? And he's babe, feeling like he's the coolest guy in the room, right? Like he's cool. Right. And I feel like Uncle Joe's cool as hell. And I feel like he looks cool even at his age or whatever. But I feel like he has that Andrew Dice Clay confidence, right? That bring babe, right? That aura. And so that's who I feel. That's who I feel Uncle Joe is. So when they mentioned that, they kind of put him on stage blind. If I remember correctly, he didn't know what song was going to play. They threw on a song and I can't imagine. I'm pretty well-rounded when it comes to music. I can't imagine going up there not knowing what song they're going to put up there. And for somebody that I feel like Covino's pretty reserved, I feel like Covino gets that from Uncle Joe because he kind of looked up to him growing up, right? He didn't have an older brother. So Uncle Joe was his older brother. So I think when I see Uncle Joe putting himself out there, I'm like, ooh, that's a little odd to me. And Covino had said, he was like, I don't like to put people in situations where they're not going to feel comfortable or they feel awkward or whatever. Makes me think a little bit differently about Uncle Joe, but it must be something in the genes of that family because Covino's a performer, right? Obviously he's a performer. Hortensia is a huge performer. You give her a mic and a mariachi band and she's Hortensia y los Bukis, So it's like, I think that part of Uncle Joe, even though he's real reserved, I kind of feel like it's in his blood. And being a cool dude, I kind of feel like you are a performer, right? If he's, we've all known those people, those cool guys, right? And they're always kind of performing, right? Even if they're themselves, they're always kind of performing. So they're always kind of, right? They're always kind of putting it forward, that cool energy, right? They're always kind of performing. And even if they're not performing, per se, they're always kind of in the spotlight. That's where I feel like it's kind of cool to see Joe had the cojones to get up there not knowing what song he was going to sing. They just threw it on him and he was there like, they said love wouldn't last or whatever it was, I got you, babe. Covino and Rich mentioned that there's a study that came out that Gen Z, or is it Gen Z? I don't know. Younger kids, right? 25 and under or something, I don't know, are consuming way less alcohol. And I guess there was a study done that from like boomers to Generation X, generation, millennials to whatever, the lower you go down in age, the less alcohol they're consuming. Just because people are consuming less alcohol does not mean that they are not consuming something else. Every freaking kid I see, and by kid, I'm in my late 30s. So any kid I see that's like 25, right? 27, they're always walking around with their freaking chupon, right? Their little vape, right? They're always sucking on their vape. Anytime you see anybody, they're always with their stupid little vape. So who knows what kind of harm that is doing? We know the effects of alcohol. We know what it does to your liver and your kidneys and all that good stuff. And we're not that far removed from vapes to know what chemicals you're inhaling with batteries and freaking recharging and USB-Cs. You're sucking on that USB-C every time you suck in that vape because you want that cherry flavor. And you know what? It doesn't even make sense to me. Like the weed vapes make more sense to me because you're getting a little buzz, right? But what are you doing if you're just smoking like a freaking cherry vape? So you're here sucking on your USB-C because you want to taste cherry? Like that makes no sense to me. So if you are a vape smoker, let me know in the comments. We're gonna be trying to put more clips and stuff on YouTube. So let me know in the comments if you smoke a vape. What is the thrill of it? What's the thrill of getting that? Ooh, I need Mountain Blast. Get your USB-C out. I don't get it. So enlighten me. Here on the After Show Belater, we hit everything in the world of Covino and Rich. Patreon, Have Kids, They Said, Overpromise, Fox Sports Radio. So Have Kids, They Said, are losing producer Jess. And I feel like a lot of people are sad, and I don't think people understand that the sadness is coming from a very selfish place, right? We're sad to see Jess leave, but I think it's because we're going to miss her, right? So, we're going to miss her commentary. We're going to miss her chiming in, every now and again. We're going to miss even her interaction on the Have Kids They Said podcast Facebook page. She's very active on that as well. So knowing that she's going to leave, which for her is a better opportunity. So for her to grow as a person, this was just a little chapter in her life, right? This was just another chapter that has closed, and now she's going to move on to something different. Congratulations, Jess. We wish you all the best. In the time that we did have with you on Have Kids They Said, we really appreciate it. We appreciated your opinions and your different worldview, right? Somebody that's not old like Rich. I'm not going to throw Nicole into this, but somebody that has a younger perspective. We're going to miss that, Jess. So we appreciate all of your time from the after show, but later. In the world of UFC, if you know Bryce Mitchell, you know that he's been saying some crazy, outlandish things.
Really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with.
So Bryce Mitchell thinks that Hitler was a guy to go fishing with. But one thing that I feel like people are forgetting, right? A lot of people, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, a lot of UFC podcasts, and people are saying things like, oh, it could be CTE, could be. Yes, obviously, right? Motherfucker gets punched in the head for a living. Obviously. But what people, not one person, I haven't seen one person, Chael Sonnen, Brendan Schaub, freaking, the good guy, bad guy, Daniel Cormier, even Rogan. I haven't heard anybody mention the knockout that I think did this to him. I feel like this is a defining moment in Bryce Mitchell's career where we can see where he lost his marbles. If you missed it, I'm going to pull a clip right here. Bryce Mitchell fighting Josh Emmett. And here we go. Did you hear that? Let's hear it again. That was his face. He wasn't hitting a brick wall. He wasn't hitting a punching bag. That was that dude's face. And Bryce Mitchell was out for a minute. His hands and feet were curled like this, and he was out for a minute, to where Josh Emmett is like over him, like, and mobbing around and right. He's all amped up the whole time. Bryce Mitchell is over here, and a lot of people have gotten knocked out. Right. A lot of people have taken some nasty, nasty punches. Right. But you have to remember, every punch affects everybody differently. And something like this is enough to knock all of your marbles loose. And I feel like that's something that happened to Bryce Mitchell, because you don't go from just being an everyday country boy and I love to fight and, I'm out here with my chickens, before they would have his pre-fight, little video package. And he's out here, I'm milking the turkeys or whatever the hell he did. And now he's over here talking about, I think Hitler was a good guy. I'll go fishing with that fella. Like, dog, you don't do that overnight. And he literally, it was like that overnight. So Doug, I don't think anybody has, so let me know again in the comments. I don't think anybody has at one point made that comparison. And I think it's definitely something that if people are getting CTE from freaking jet skis and shit because of your head moving and it's your brain bouncing back and forth, or even soccer players, and this dude's getting knocked out like that, and after that happens, dude saying he thinks he wants to go fishing with Hitler. Anyway, the after show, but later. It's your boy D. Next episode, I am so excited for you guys. Not for me. I feel like I'll be there. I'm gonna live it. But for you guys, I'm excited for you guys to check out the after show episode number 289. I think it'll be by then. I'm going to welcome the one and only Christian Spotty Sorge. And if we've been teasing it for, a good few months, I guess, Spot got sick. I got sick. We had them rumblings with the after show belaters, and now I'm going to be welcoming Spotty Sorge. And I feel like we might get into some talk about Janet Jackson. Do you know her? You ever heard of her? Might even talk about that time Spot worked for TRL. Did you know Spot worked for TRL? Can't wait for you guys to check it out. It's a great episode. I've heard, or I expect, or I don't know what I'm saying here. Just check out the after show, but later, episode number 289, I believe, with Christian Spotty Sorge. We appreciate you guys sticking with us. All love, after show, but later. See you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Cause it's all about the paper. Now buckle up your seats and prepare for the journey. Let the music ease your soul, grab a spliff and start burning. Relax with us and take a trip to the heavens and come and spend a day in the 757.